Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Jack G. These are my hobbies, and we're going to talk about some Spyderco knives. This is one of my favorite part of my collection. We're going to talk about the Spyderco Manix 2 carbon fiber here. We're going to talk about the famous Spyderco PM2 Paramilitary 2. And we're going to talk about the Spyderco Native 5. It's in the Salt series, which we'll talk about. And the Spyderco Ladybug, which is a tiny little knife, we'll talk about first, and we'll kind of work our way up through the Spydercos. So I am super excited to talk about the Spydercos. I love so many things about the Spyderco knives. I think that in a lot of ways they're kind of underrated. And in part because, which I don't disagree with, a lot of the knives, if you look at it from, the knife perspective, forget about the handle perspective, with this spider hole here, you're kind of limited by the type of blade that you can have and the opening mechanism, etc. So I think that a lot of their knives, honestly, are kind of ugly. So part of why these are in my collection is because I think they look cool and they're super functional, and they don't look ugly because I look for that in a knife. So I'll talk about why I purchased all four of these Spyderco knives versus other knives. And I'll start with this little guy. And actually, this is the Spyderco Ladybug. You can tell, most people kind of try to keep them all polished for the camera and stuff like that, but I use my knives, so this one I use quite a bit. This is a knife that it's pretty small here. I have small hands, no comments. As you can see, it's probably 2.4 8 inches with the closed length, so basically the handle, and maybe 4.41 inches overall. So let's see, this one is the blade steel is ZDP 189, which is super sharp. It's made in Japan. It's one of my only knives that is made in Japan. Has this kind of plastic grivery. Has a lock back, which I'm not a huge fan of, but in this small knife you kind of need. And this is not a one-handed operation. Honestly, you could open it one-handed, but you kind of need to close it, right? Has a spidey hole, which is easy to open. Super sharp blade. Very nice. I don't mind this kind of material. This thing is going to go in my watch pocket. I use it to open up, bags of chips, all kinds of things. It locks out really well, no blade play. Super nice knife. Really like it. You could open it one-handed, which for me is an important thing in general, but you have to be really careful because your finger's going to get down here near the blade, and this blade is super sharp. So I typically use two hands. Part of the reason why I bought this one, which is a requirement for all my knives, is because there's a screw that I can open up and remove the scales, clean it, stuff like that. So this is the Ladybug. This is a expensive knife, let's be honest. It's honestly, should I have a Swiss Army knife in my pocket instead? Maybe. So this is 53 bucks. That's a lot of money. You're paying a lot for the quality of the blade and the functionality. But for a small knife, 53 bucks, do I regret it? Maybe a little bit. So anyway, that's that. Not necessarily cost conscious. Okay, so this one I've talked about before. I'm not go through it pretty quick. This is the Spyderco Native 5. It's in the Salt series, so people, take the scuba diving, etc. It's super resilient to rust. This is the LC200N steel. Look how shiny that is. That NASA used for like their ball bearings and stuff like that. Like really, really cool, high quality steel. If you've watched SHOT Show 2020, the new blade steels that Spyderco is coming out with are really nice. This is what does this run? This runs about 120 bucks. I really like it. You know, it's a nice full flat grind. So it's a good slicer. Even a little bit of a swedge there. Great knife. This goes in my go bag. 120 bucks because it doesn't rust. It's not a flipper though. So if you're like me, I mean, you know me, if you see my videos, I like to flick knives. Like this is the, right? I could do this all day long. This is the Griptilian. This, I wanted it to be a flipper, and you kind of can, but I mean, as most people, it's a lockback, so you know, you kind of have to do two hands to close it. It's stiff, right? But it's going to last forever. It's this, it's not plastic, but it's, you know, some kind of plastic. The FRN, I guess is what they call it. But it's not going to rust. Not my favorite pocket clip. Sure, it's very durable, and I could use this for a lanyard and tie it onto things like, you know, if I'm scuba diving, so that there's that. But I don't like this design. I can't turn it around. I can't get a deep pocket carry clip, which is fine, but like, I want to wear this out when it's raining, even in an urban environment. So I wish it was a little bit, you know, deeper pocket carry up to here, so I can kind of hide this bright yellow when I want to. But if I'm in the woods, I don't care. You know, I want to see this this knife. But beautiful steel. Not such a big fan of the pocket clip. You can't flick it. I kind of assumed that you could because of the Spidey hole. But with gloves, you can open it up. Really grippy. You know, you can get up on it, right? To do some carving. I love the Spidey hole because you can get your thumb in there and open it up with gloves. Really nice knife. So this is the Spyderco Native 5 lightweight folding knife. Runs about $120. I'll leave a link, as I usually do, to Amazon, which is where I like to buy things. So I have to return them or something like that. Full flat grind, LC, 200N steel, lock back. So, you know, it's super firm, but it does take like two hands to close it. So it's not like a one-handed knife, but that's okay, right? I bought this throw in my go bag, super lightweight. I'll put some information about like how lightweight it is, but this is something you want to throw in your go bag for sure. Okay, so this is the Paramilitary 2, not to be confused with the Paramilitary 3, which is a little bit fatter and a little bit shorter. I bought this one because it is thinner in the pocket. And I bought it honestly because everybody talks about the Paramilitary 2. And I thought it was kind of a weird shape, like a, you know, it's very pointy, you know, for maybe self-defense or, you know, poking things, etc. This one is the CPM S30V, so really nice steel. I got the black coating because I thought it looked cool and is rust resistant. And this is the G10 scales. I don't know if you can see a little bit more grippy. They're not smooth. I really like this. So the PM2, it's hard to explain, but I'm in love with this knife. Like, I mean, compared to a lot of the Benchmades and the price point, I might try some different scales on this coming up here soon. But it's kind of really hard to explain with the PM2. Simple, right? A couple screws, you can open it up. This lanyard hole, I wish they do something about this. That's really hard to like deal with if you're going to replace the scale. So there's that. But I mean, clearly you can put the pocket clip here or there. You're left-handed, you're right-handed, right here or there. I replaced it with this custom deep pocket clip carry, which makes all the difference in this PM2. Here, check this out. I'll leave a link to this. The guy that makes these takes a while, but it's well worth it. Look at the quality of that, like super, here, check it out. Like really nice, very thick. He even does like his own spider there. Spyderco, you should have all your PM2s and PM3s with this clip, in my opinion. Really nice in the pocket, deep pocket. You can barely see anything here, if you can tell, like maybe the tip of this in your pocket, which I really like. It's all black here, so you hardly notice, except for, you know, this obviously out of the pocket. But the thing about the you know, Golden Colorado, USA Earth, almost all my knives are made in USA, except for this one. It's made in Japan. Everything else is made in USA, Benchmades, etc. So the G10, must have, very grippy, fits in the hand really nice. A lot of extra room here as well. It doesn't slip. Jimping kind of ramps up, so it's perfect for the spider hole. Has a lock here, so you can see here, right? And it just is like a free dropping, super smooth. Like the action on this thing is amazing. Blade centering is incredible. Here, let's compare this to like the, I think I did this in another video, but this is the Benchmade Griptilian, the big Griptilian. Blade stock, super thick. I mean, look at that, super thick. In fact, the reason I bought this Benchmade as well is because of the spider hole. Benchmade, I wish you'd make more of these with the sheep's foot. And the access lock like makes this a perfect knife in my opinion. So the PM2, I carried the heck out of this thing for, I don't know, a year, 2 years, something like that, at least a couple years. And it's amazing to, like, you know, the piercing part of this, to open up, you know, bag of chips, boxes, etc. Holds an edge really well because it's very flat, like it's a great slicer. The PM2 is, you have to buy one because you can't describe like how perfect it is. Like the contours here, how it fits in the hand, the ramp up of the jimping here, you can get up on it with the jimping here. It's a one-handed, which I absolutely love. One-handed, even with a glove, boom, it just locks up. You hear that? Here, listen to this. I mean, it's amazing. It locks up. It's easy with one-handed to unlock, free dropping. The PM2 is in my top 5 for knives. It's amazing, incredible. Okay, so let's talk about the Spyderco Manix 2. I spent a bit of money on this because I really wanted the spider hole. The CPM Crewwear steel on this blade was a joint venture between Spyderco and Crewwear. It's amazing. I love the thickness of the blade. Here, actually, let me compare that to the, see how much thicker it is. I love that. It's a really good slicer. I was looking for that. The carbon fiber is just beautiful. I love the Spydercos because they don't have a lot of, you know, screws and moving parts, etc. The jimping on the inside too, jimping here, jimping here, jimping here. I mean, nothing fancy, be like jimping, 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 jimping everywhere. And it's like, you know, smooth, but it comes up enough. Like, you know, this is probably his perfect knife. Carbon fiber, which I really love, have no chipping at all. Lanyard hole, if you like that. I'm not a big fan of that. And the reason I bought it was because this was close to the Benchmade access locks, which, as you know, the access lock is a very easy release by just pulling down, which I love because I flick it all day long. I can, you know, open it, I can close it. And Spyderco, I think, had the right idea with this. It's they call it a ball lock. And I thought this is perfect, right? I mean, I got this pretty tuned, right? It's free dropping. I mean, look at the contours of that. So easy open. Spider hole is like amazing. Boom, right? You can open it with your thumb. You can open it with your finger underneath, which is great. And with the ball lock, I could play with this all day long, right? And flick it all day long. But as it turns out, this ball lock, while it's a great locking mechanism, and you don't hear about it much from Spyderco, I think now, because even though it locks up really well, boom, in here, it takes work to open it. Like, to pull that down, there's no way you could do this with like just the right side or the left side. Like, it takes 2 fingers, and you really have to work at it, and after a while it kind of wears you out. So the one thing that is close to perfect but not perfect, like compared to the access lock and the Benchmade, is this ball lock. But I mean, this carbon fiber, and I carried this for like about a year. The blade is amazing. The carbon fiber is amazing on the crew wear. And the blade is incredible, and it's held like an edge. God, it's like razor sharp since the day I got it, and I've never sharpened this. So anyway, so there's the Spyderco Manix 2. I'll leave like links in what I paid for these. Most of these I bought on Amazon as usual, because I like, you know, to get points and return things. So this is the Spyderco Manix 2. With the CPM Crewwear steel, $294. It is expensive, but it's great to have in your collection. I love it. I get it all the time. By the way, this is one of the 2 knives, including this in my Paramilitary 2, that you're going to find next to my bed for home security, right? Like if I'm sleeping in the night and if I'm sleeping in the night and, you know, I need to get something pretty quick, I'm going to reach for this, and it's easy to find in the dark with my thumb or my finger or this finger. And with that pointy end there, you don't want to be in my bedroom, right? Unless you're invited. So this is the CPM 30V steel, amazing steel on most of the Benchmates as well. So anyway, coming back to the Manix 2, expensive, $294. I think the price has gone down on these though, by the way. This is the Paramilitary 2 with the G10 scales. It runs about maybe $155, somewhere around there. Love this, love this, love this. I'm gonna get more PM2s and replace some scales and stuff like that with aluminum, which stay tuned. And then from the Salt series here, kind of a two-handed operation. You could use one, but you know, it's not designed for that necessarily. This is the Spyderco Native 5. Great videos on this, like in salt and rust resistant, stuff like that. I'll leave links. It's super cool from Blade HQ. You have to watch the videos. Like, it's like amazing to see how resilient these are to salt rust. Anyway, this is the Native 5. It's $120, so not bad. The LC 200N steel, and then the Ladybug, which, you know, do I regret buying this? A little bit. It's a little expensive, but it's kind of cool, right? Kind of reminds me of, like, I don't know, a mosquito for some reason, like, you know, the pointy end. This is a little more expensive, the Ladybug 3. But it goes in your watch pocket, which I really like, so it's small like that, and to open up things. $53 though, a little expensive, but super lightweight. Anyway, so some Spydercos I just wanted to show you. I love the Spidey hole, clearly. Have it in the, for the Benchmade, the Mini Griptilian. I love the Spidey hole in that, and obviously in the full-size grip as well, the Spidey hole. So love that as a design, but it also limits the aesthetics of the blade as well, and that's why I think some people don't really like some of the Spydercos, but I love them for so many reasons. But the PM2 must have in your collection, and as an EDC to carry every day. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I'll talk to you later. We'll do some more videos, and mahalo.